should have happened if I didn't earn. So therefore, that is not an empowered woman. It is not a woman who's pursuing her dreams because she has the capability of doing so, and there's nobody to, say that no, I decide whether you work or don't work. If you're not earning enough, you should not be working. Why are you wasting your time? You would be better off cooking in the house, or that would save us a lot more money. And you will, there's so many things. I think we're all quite familiar with that reality. We've all probably grown up seeing a lot of it around us. Physical abuse is perhaps the most visible form of abuse, but the subtler forms, emotional and psychological abuse, often go unnoticed. This can include controlling behavior, manipulation, verbal attacks that undermine a woman's sense of self-worth. In workplaces, women continue to face discrimination, harassment, and exploitation. Sexual violence remains pervasive, with many women suffering in silence, unable to speak because of fear of retaliation or not being believed. That is often the problem. Where will, if I say that this happened to me, I will have to first defend myself before actually getting a compassionate ear to what I have to say. You first disbelieved, and only you have to work all the way past so many things to be believed. The issue of crimes against women is not new. It is deeply rooted in history, shaped by cultural, social, economic, and legal systems. However, the nature, visibility, and understanding of these crimes have evolved over time. As technology has evolved, new forms of crime have emerged. Revenge porn, cyber stalking, online harassment, deep fakes, digital blackmail. As Latika ji had spoken about, this is the sad reality today, which is really has assumed epidemic proportions. It is something that everyone is struggling with. You don't know what message, what innocuous picture that you have taken can be used anywhere. With more digital we get, the more vulnerable we are getting. And the kind of photoshopping and all that that's happening is creating serious issues. And I think today the police is grappling, as we all keep getting the cybercrime note that on the phone. This is one of them, one of the crimes which also is happening large scale. Sadly, too many women face these horrors in silence because of stigma, fear of retribution, or simply because they don't believe they have a voice. The numbers are staggering. According to the WHO, 1 in 3 women worldwide has experienced physical or sexual violence in their lifetime, as Samitra was also mentioning. These are not just numbers. They are mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends. It's one of us who's experiencing this. I think this is something we need to absorb at a deeper level. It's not just somebody out there. This violence doesn't just affect women's bodies, it damages their spirit, their sense of safety, their ability to live freely. It holds them back from achieving their potential, from living in dignity and peace. Here, I will just I have one rape victim. Soon after she was reporting, we were trying to make out a police complaint about the experience. And she came into the office. We were trying to get the complaint written, and she just saw a man sitting in the office. Just seeing another man got her trauma response. She just started beating, saying no, beating that. She said, I don't want to see a man. That is the kind of a horror it is when a woman is subjected to molestation or rape. That is the kind of horror response that is there. That is the PTSD that she suffers from. So these are not minor issues to be brushed under the carpet and forgotten about. It happened to somebody. No, it's a lot worse. It goes to the very fabric of human society, and it needs to be addressed very seriously. How many times, and now talking about why should she feel unsafe? Why is it that a woman enters a room and says, oh, well, how am I going to be judged? Why? I mean, does a man, have you ever thought, does a man feel so awkward entering a space where there are women? I'm sure they don't. They're not normally. There's no need to feel that way. For some reason, you're warned, okay, there are men there, you better go carefully, you dress appropriately, all those things. Why? The problem, like somebody said in Hindi, the parda is not for the woman. It is for the man's eyes who is not able to do anything about seeing a woman and not able to, uh, behave, treat her as another human being. Everybody doesn't have to be ogled at. So that's the important thing here. And here, how many times we would have you would have seen so often women hesitate to speak in meetings, to walk alone, or to chase their dreams because the world around them felt unsafe or unwelcoming. That hesitation, that fear, it limits potential, innovation, and progress. We need to create safe spaces not only to prevent abuse, but also a space for the victims of abuse. A compassionate year. We have though we have laws in place for prevention of sexual harassment, and you have posh committees to address complaints of sexual harassment in the workplace. We also have laws to punish domestic violence. But safety is built not just by law and rules, but by culture. And culture is built by all of us. Here is where each one of us has a role to play. Every time there is a reaction, some of it is it's so deeply ingrained we don't even realize how we are reacting in a stereotypical manner, which we've seen our parents, grandparents, larger family, the society, and we don't even bat an eyelid because we've heard it so many times. We just take it as a given. But no, we need to be conscious of what we are doing at every point to make sure that the stereotypes are broken. And one of the major issues that we really have to get to the bottom of is patriarchy, which is so deeply ingrained in our culture. It is how is it connected to abuse and uh, violence in society and all that is happening, all that the society is ailing with. Let's just examine some of that. Patriarchy is deeply connected to other forms of violent and harsh abuses against women because it creates and sustains systems of power, control, and inequality that make such violence more likely, and often it protects perpetrators. Patriarchy normalizes male dominance. Patriarchy is a social system in which men hold primary power politically, economically, and socially. In such systems, men are often taught to see them superior or entitled to control. Women are expected to be submissive, obedient, and self sacrificing. This power imbalance fuels abuse. Rape and other forms of violence are used as tools to assert control and enforce submission. Here, to again go back to Latikaji's narration of how everybody believed, all the men there believed it is okay for a husband to beat the wife. Almost, as almost a privilege for the wife to get beaten by the husband, perhaps. It is like, oh, he is my husband, he can beat me, is what they want her to accept. So that shows the power dynamics. It's all about power dynamics in a large sense. And that's patriarchy for you. What it does is it justifies violence through culture and tradition. In the name of culture and tradition, everything is acceptable. In patriarchal cultures, victim blaming is common. Women are asked what they were wearing, where they were, or why they were alone. Rape myths flourish on men can't control themselves or she was asking for it. Domestic violence is often normalized as a private matter or even a husband's right. This cultural acceptance makes it hard for victims to speak out and easier for abusers to act without consequence. In a nutshell, patriarchy silences women and shields abusers. It teaches toxic masculinity. It undervalues women's voices and autonomy. In a patriarchal, this devaluation enables abuse and creates a culture where women's rights and boundaries are routinely violated. Patriarchy does not just allow rape and abuse, it enables, excuses, and protects it. To end gender based violence, we must challenge the patriarchal norms that fuel it. In a culture that worships the divine mother as Shakti, it would be a travesty if, at the societal level, women are still reduced to being the lesser gender. If we are to truly honor women and their contributions to the world, We must ensure that they live free from fear and harm. We must create a world where every woman is respected, valued, and empowered to live her fullest life. Here again, we are talking, this is the safe space, the mental safe space that I'm talking about. It is not being looked at straight away, you're a woman, and therefore the stereotypes, and therefore I can treat you the way I feel like. No, I just want to be treated equal, nothing more. It's not asking for too much for a woman to say, all I'm asking for is equality, not superiority, equal opportunity. Just treat me like another one of you, just one of you. We are all the same, is something we need to imbibe in our children from the time they can understand anything. And you have to, it should not matter whether you're a man or woman in the workplace or anywhere for that matter. It's not everywhere that you're carrying heavy loads, and it's not like even physical strength is you can't even say women are weaker, or why are the women the weaker section? Are weaker sex? They're not the weaker sex. In what sense are we measuring how many kilos of weight they can lift? Is that what that determines weakness and strength? How can you apply it? Are we in a might is right jungle world? No, we are not. So that we need to show our human refinement by becoming more refined as a culture in this. And now let us talk about now talking about empowerment. So to empower women is not simply to give them a seat at the table. It is to recognize that they've always had something to say. It is to amplify their voices, invest in their ideas, and trust their leadership. Encourage them to speak up without fear of ridicule. Now here it's a very interesting how the society has. Fortunately, I have seen like organizations like the MMA are doing a lot to have brought in their to their fore women in high managerial positions. They're all have their say. They've been, this is one of those organizations which celebrates women in positions of authority. And the very fact that we have a meeting today here on a subject like this shows their ethos, their commitment to something like this. But this is something that must spread. And I should just share with you way back, say in early 1980s, when I was trying to do a thesis on women in managerial positions, I could not find them in any. I could find them far and few in between, maybe in the banking sector or advertising. There were hardly anybody. You could count them on your fingertips. And there is an observation I'd like to make when I met these some of these women, even in the banking sector. They said, "Look, we did not want to become bank managers. We chose to be at the clerical grade because we have transferable jobs and we have to spend time teaching our children. It is not possible." So they actually do not achieve their potential. And even today, of course, today you have a lot of women who are probably doing, very well professionally, probably sometimes doing better. If it's not a competition, they could be earning more than their husband or whatever. But the thought that, it's still met with a certain degree of people are shy to admit something like this. They always have to put themselves a little below their husband so as not to challenge the male superiority. I think all this must change. Each should celebrate the other. You have to bring out the best and be proud to do what you can do best. It doesn't matter, it's not a competition here. So that is the kind of empowerment we are looking at. And empowerment begins with opportunity, access to education, to capital, to networks, and to positions of influence. What happens when you combine safe spaces with empowered women? Magic happens. When you empower a woman, she doesn't succeed alone. She brings her community with her. Women invest in families. Women create jobs. Women drive change. Women encourage, inspire other women. So, as it is, having an organization with a lot of women in it, I know, I mean, having my own office, I know a lot of lady juniors are happier to come and work with me, partly because this is the safe space they have in mind. They are not, they are not afraid of any predatory situations, because you work long hours. We work. It's a tough life. So they also feel, their parents feel safer. Okay, I'm sending my daughter to a lady lawyer's office. So these are things which should not be so. I think this cultural change must come. It should not matter. But to start with, you get more people into the workforce by being enterprising women, people so you give safe space to women, let them blossom and bring in more women, and that's how the society will change. And we create a more communities that are strong, inclusive, and resilient. Communities where daughters grow up believing they can lead, where survivors are heard and healed, where diversity is celebrated, not silenced, where strength is not defined by power over others, but by lifting others up. That is what that is our aim. Creating safe spaces and empowering women is not a one-time project. It is a lifelong commitment. It is a daily choice, a shared responsibility. But if we commit to it, truly commit, then we are not just changing the lives of women, we are transforming our world. Because a safe woman is a powerful woman. A powerful woman builds a strong community, and a strong community builds better future for us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Again, a very powerful statement. And what is many a time I've seen many things like this are put under the carpet, not really brought out. And today, I'm happy that you could come and speak. And the large number of viewers, we have over 490 viewers are watching the program live. And I got so many questions, and I will try and place it before you. Yeah, we'll make it little faster, rapid fire, so that quick answers, so that I can take as many questions as possible. Actually. So we'll start with the questions. The question which any one of you could answer this is, how do you define a safe space beyond physical safety in the context of Indian society today? And I think Litika briefly covered this in your talk. No, because not really sure what do you mean by safe space in the working environment? This will help our corporate people who are listening to create that's the idea. This question has come from Mr. Narain from Hyderabad.
Okay. So, Latika ji, will you be taking the question?
Go ahead. It's okay. You can tell him.
No. I mean, just one perspective is, in the corporate world, it is basic, as I said, it is safe when a woman, making it comfortable. What would you do if your daughter was coming in to work in your office? Just do that. Make sure, how would you, or your sister's coming to work to office? How would you approach it? I think that will give you a feel of how would you want to feel when you go to the office. Forget daughter and sister. You should not, the lady who comes to work should feel no different from the man who comes to work. And that would be a short answer.
There's one more thing. In the corporate world and otherwise, the employer is responsible for the safety.
Now we move to the next question. Actually, this is addressed to Litika Charan. It's from Sanjeev from Salem. Says, from your experience in the police force, what are some of the key reforms needed in policing to better protect the vulnerable communities, especially women and children?
I don't think we need key reforms. I don't know why he's used the word reform. Definitely, what is required is immediate action. It's there written down in our police standing orders. It is there written down in the law. If a cognizable case is made out, then you have to take action. And what does any woman who has been abused want? She would like to see the abuser arrested and put behind bars. That is the basic thing. If you don't do that, she's going to be scared forever. And this is something that the police and the courts have definitely got to consider that somebody comes to you for justice, comes to you for help, you better give it.
Thank you, madam. Here's a question addressed to Maithili. You said you have been part of several ICCs, and what systemic change are required to strengthen the enforcement of POSH? And that's one area which is not really taken off in spite of the rules, regulations, awareness. And what do you think should be a strong measure either organizations or individuals or the government should take? Here's a question from Mithun from Bangalore.
Yes. Now, see, a lot of these compliances are met only on paper very often. So here, what is important is the commitment of the management of each organization to. It's all about lending that year. You need to hold meetings. You need to, first is awareness. Programs must be done as mandated with the frequency that at least once in 3 months you need to have the awareness programs. And again, here the safe space here is very critical. The safe space here is for the victim to be able to express herself without fear of dire consequences of any kind. So this is, and there is a certain degree of, I mean, of course, since the committee, there are safeguards in place. People cannot make false complaints and get away with it. So that is the other aspect which must be, explained, that it is not that you can make a false complaint and put somebody on the dock when and since cost can be imposed on that person. I mean, they can be discredited for it. So those are aspects which should be highlighted so that management will take it up. I mean, they're also worried about probably the false complaints very often is a reason why they're very tiptoeing on these issues. They're a little walking on ice on all of this because they don't want to upset the apple cart. These are things which completely destabilize the working environment if once some things like this come out. So what is required is to handle it sensitively.
True.
I think that is the focus. That's what I can see.
Maybe Letty, I would like to add on, especially the women. We have opened a lot of exclusively women police actually. But women police, when it really come to the dowry and other harassment, actually, there's always been the court strictures on them that yes, I think the proper fair methodology is not followed. I think really police has implemented following such strictures and which will put a lot of confidence in men as well as women whenever they face such a situation.
Are you saying that strictures have been passed by the court and that will help the men and women? Yeah, if strictures are passed by the court, the policemen concerned pay a heavy price. I mean, it's something which at any time, even if your case ends in acquittal, you are called upon to answer why that has happened. So this does keep the police on their toes. However, there are many cases which don't get the justice that it deserves. Maybe when the lady comes in, just like when the woman goes before the IC, she's not believed in the first instance. But all these things, you are taught not to be judgmental before anything else happens. You have to listen to the person. If she is not clear, it's obviously because she's traumatized. A traumatized person is not going to talk sense, and that everybody knows. So we do teach our inspectors and sub-inspectors to treat the witnesses, treat the victim with a lot of care. Because if you don't make them comfortable, you're not going to hear anything logical coming from them.
True, madam. Here a question comes from Mr. Gurumurthy. He says, what role do men and allies play in creating inclusive environments and how can we engage them meaningfully in these efforts. Idea is how to bring men as a part of this activity so that if men are more educated, I think automatically women's safety is ensured. One such initiative is what we are doing it today, but how can we do more?
I would say, see, when awareness is spread in the community policing models all over, the awareness that is spread is for both men and women. If the man is not taking care of his family or taking care of his wife, or if he feels that any transgression on her part has to be met with a beating, then it's not going to work. So the awareness that is being spread in various parts of the country is for both men and women. And I have to mention, there's a very interesting thing which was done by an NGO in Kenya. Kenya has one of the highest incidents of rape cases in the world, and it's really bad. So an NGO worked with the teachers in establishments which were basically male. The teachers were male. So the schoolmasters were brought in and they were given the awareness training, the gender awareness training, and sent back to their respective schools where they had to teach their students. They did that, and the result is lots of rapes have been prevented by young boys who go and say, no, this shall not be done. So yes, it's a very good thing for men to come forward and be part of this process of awareness. If men teach men, you're liable to, and men teach boys, schoolboys especially, they will listen. They will listen that much more.
Great, madam. Maitri, you would like to add on something? You have any thoughts on this? Is okay? Move to the next question.
Just to add that, yes, it is about the men. The more you make people aware about equality, main thing is to try and understand that men and women are equal. That has to be a substratum. It should be something that is the way you approach every single thing from the class, from the lowest class in school onwards. You don't make any distinction in the family. I think that will make all the difference.
No, I read an interesting observation today in Mint newspaper. More than 49% of the Indian corporate, both men and women, said for their work-life balance, their highest. In fact, as far as the satisfaction level of work-life balance, India is the highest actually. In fact, even USA is 29, Germany 14%. I was really surprised actually when I saw that. I know you saw that in today's Mint. It's surprising outcome of this work-life balance, what's happening. Anyway, I move to the next question. This is from Mr. Kumar. The question is understood with Ms. Latika Charan. Given your leadership at high administrative roles, what challenge did you face as a woman in law enforcement and how did you overcome them? And you also added one more. In today's Panchayat Raj system, there's a government made a rule where the quota has been reserved for the woman as a Panchayat leader. But irony is, many of them, it's only their close relative or their husband runs the Panchayat Raj system. The woman voluntarily give up that post. How do you sensitize this woman to really come forward? And no, some of them are done exceedingly well. I got a role model who came and spoke at MMA. How do we make that every Panchayat Raj woman really get to know about this? Only that some of the things could be enforced through the police mechanism.
Oh, I think the most important thing would be the minute they are elected and selected as Panchayat presidents or as municipal chairpersons, they should be brought to the headquarters of the state for a training session and actually trained to handle the job. Very often, the lady might not know what to do and she would be floundering. So it's best that she comes and undergoes the training, because once she undergoes the training, the chances of somebody bullying her out of her chair would be that little bit less. For the rest, if she has to be given the courage and whatever to tell the men folk that you just stand aside. I am the president and I know what to do. It's a question of standing firm. And that's the only way this will go. And again, it's up to the political parties concerned to tell these men folk to lay off. Unless the politician also enters the picture, it's not going to really work.
Great, madam. I think one more initiative the government at low level doing is educate them. Actually, they are doing a lot of education. We had done a thing on Panchayat Raj system, how educated, empowering leaders. We did a series only for women actually, and we could bring in some difference. Thank you so much, madam. I think there are a number of questions that come, and if we do, I think we'll need another 1 hour to address to all the questions. And thank you. I think you have been very inspiring in sharing great insights. I'm quite sure. Thanks to Shakti Foundation for doing this. And as